Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at the Arsenal player ratings versus Everton, and we're going to look at how the Gunners players got on individually in the Premier League clash versus Carlo Ancelotti's side at the Emirates Stadium. So the first person on the list is Bernd Leno, and he had so little to do until he was called upon to pick up a simple Richarlison cross. Instead, he let it squirm through his legs to go in for a horrible moment that ultimately decided the low quality match. And now there's going to be a lot of talk again suggesting why is Emiliano Martinez being sold. It's done. We still have Bernd Leno. He will make a mistake. It's a big mistake, but we have to back him through. But for his performance, he deserves a 4. So next up, we got Callum Chambers. And after a run of convincing displays at right back, this was probably Chambers' worst since his return. Nothing shambolic, but the England international struggled to deal with Luca Dean's aggressive running. And I think that he has a selection headache in terms of Mikel Arteta, who is going to put at right back versus Villarreal, because I thought it was a poor game by Callum Chambers, and for his performance he deserves a 5. Next up we got Rob Holding, and it was a solid enough display from the Arsenal captain for the Knights. He produced an excellent block to thwart Gylfi Sigurdsson at the start of the second half. However, he was a little too cautious in possession though, and I thought he did do his aerial duties well. He'd really done well when it comes to the physical battle, but he was a bit too slow on the ball in my opinion, and that's what he really lacked in this game. However, for his performance, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Pablo Mori, and it was an excellent display from the Spaniard, who is such a clear leader on the pitch. He is calm in possession. He drove the Gunners forward on countless occasions when they threatened to drop deeper, and I thought that this guy should be starting every game in this team. He's a shining light of a very poor Arsenal squad in my opinion. He came on a cheap transfer in my opinion, and he's a big bargain for the Gunners, and for his performance he deserves a 7. Next up we got Granit Xhaka, and he was beaten way too easily for the goal, but he can't be blamed for what happened after. It generally sound despite playing out of position again. Arsenal will miss Kieran Tierney's and is missing Kieran Tierney's attacking impetus though. And you can clearly see what Luca Dean did for Everton, and we really missed that from Kieran Tierney. But for Granit Xhaka, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Thomas Partey, and it was an underwhelming display from the Ghanaian, who gave away countless unnecessary fouls in the midfield to allow Gylfi Sigurdsson chances at goal. And I really thought that Thomas Partey might get red carded today because it's been a poor week, and I thought it was going to be a poor display by Partey and get a red card, but he escaped. So his performance, he gets a 5. Next up we got Dani Ceballos, and he was lively in the midfield and very nearly won a crucial penalty for the Gunners. It was a decent shot from distance, also forced a save from Pickford. Aside from that, he kept the ball well enough to justify his selection over Mohamed Elneny. And we can clearly see how poor our midfield is. We've got the likes of Elneny, Ceballos, all these players which I really do not want to see at this club next season. We need a massive overhaul. There's so much negativity surrounding Arsenal Football Club, and it's just a bad situation to be in. But for his performance, he deserves a 7. Next up, we got Bukayo Saka, and it was not the best display from the England international, with most of the Arsenal attack going down the left-hand side. He found it difficult to get into the game, but he still could easily have scored on another day. And I thought he was doing what he could do best, and he didn't reach the heights that we all expected from Bukayo Saka, but I think he's saving it for the game versus Villarreal, hopefully. But for his performance, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Emil Smith Row, and like his fellow Highlander Bukayo Saka, Emil Smith Row struggles to influence the game too much, and more will be needed against Villarreal on Thursday. And hopefully that's because he didn't burn himself out versus Everton, and he's saving all that energy and passion and determination and drive for the game against Villarreal, hopefully. And for his performance, he deserves a 6. Next up, we got Arsenal's brightest spot going forward on the Knights, Nicolas Pepe. Most of the good things going forward came from the Ivorian. He was unlucky to have been judged a millimetre offside in the build-up to the penalty the Gunners had overturned. And I thought he was causing that right-hand side of the defence of Everton's problems, because he was the only one that's trying to get past that defence, create something, put inside crosses, put outside crosses. And I thought he was probably the best player maybe in the pitch for Arsenal, and for his performance he deserves a 7. Next up we got Eddie Nketiah, and it feels harsh to go in on the youngster. He was clearly lacking the confidence after such a long spell out. He was given an opportunity tonight and he simply didn't take it. He was on his heels too often and lacked belief to get in the right goal scoring positions. So you can clearly see there's a lack of quality as we lost two of our best strikers, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Eddie Nketiah, one normally substituting for the other, but both were out and we had to bring in Eddie Nketiah. And for his performance today, I think it's fair to say he deserves a 5. Now we move on to the substitutes, and we first got Martin Erdogan. Like Emil Smith Row before him, he could hardly influence the game despite pressing manfully on his first appearance for 3 weeks. And the only positive from Martin Erdogan is the fact that he will be available for the game versus Villarreal. He'll be fit and hopefully make an influence, but for his performance he deserves a standard 6. Next up we got Gabriel Marcinelli, and interestingly he was used at number 9 after coming on. With Eddie Nketiah's disappointing display, he may well get the nod there on Thursday against Villarreal. And in terms of Willian, he came on too late to influence the game. But for Gabriel Marcinelli, going back to Gabriel Marcinelli, I don't know why he did not start. Hopefully it's because he's saving his energy or passion or something. Mikel Arteta has something up his sleeve versus Villarreal, because if Martinelli doesn't start the game versus Villarreal and you have Eddie Nketiah up front, I really do think for the worst for this team. But for his performance, he deserves a 6. And now we'll move on to the manager, and I thought it was very stupid decision in certain scenarios. He did go with the usual players that normally play, like Smith Row and Saka, Rob Holding, Leno, Partey. So these players were getting the opportunity to play. He pretty much went in the same team versus Slavia Prague, where we looked quite decent. But it's inconsistency once again. And even Sal Niguez pretty much said about that Thomas Partey. And I really think Thomas Partey sums up Arsenal's season this season, in my opinion. But it was a poor tactics from Mikel Arteta, and I was really upset as an Arsenal fan today. And us fans are struggling, going through protests, trying to get Sam Kroenke out. And this club doesn't care about us. But other than that, guys, remain blessed. Stay tuned for the next video, and peace.